So, Lorridge, I understand that the UK has left the EU, but can I still apply for leave to enter or remain in the UK under EU law?
Thank you. Before I answer this question, let me just take this opportunity to say to the community that EU family members that have the EU residence cards, you are not part of the e-visa. I know that clients have been calling asking whether they have to register the e-visa. Please, if you got your leave from the EU, then you are not part of it. You don't have to do it. The only thing that you have to do is make sure that your passport is linked to your online status, so that it can be verified. So that I want you to take note of it. Now the question: can a person still apply under EU law? It is yes, depending on the person's circumstances. That is, if they are eligible to apply under EU law to start with. So we look at the EU law. We know that during the UK membership of the European Union, that is the EU, there was something called the Citizens' Rights Directive 2004-38. Now that brought the free movement, which was an issue for the UK because people can travel to the UK without a visa. That is, if you are EU national. Same as UK citizens can also go to other continent countries. Now, that brought about what we call the Immigration EEA Regulation 2016. Under that law, if you are an EU national or a family member in the UK, you could have applied to get status to remain here with your EU family member. Now, UK voted to leave the European Union, and that brought about something we call the withdrawal. So that is the EU Withdrawal Act 2020. That ended the free movement. And that is why people are asking this question that can you actually still apply under EU law? Because the EU law has come to an end. The Directive 2048 and the Regulation 2016 is no longer applicable. But there is Appendix EU that came from the Withdrawal Agreement Act 2020. What that act is doing is to protect EU nationals and their family members who were in the UK before 31st December 2020. So now, if you ask if a person can still apply, it depends on whether the EU national was in the UK before the Withdrawal Agreement Act came into effect. And the relevant date is 31st December 2020. So an EU citizen national was in the UK, maybe a person from France. He was working, and that is before December 2020. If the person was married to somebody and did not apply to confirm their status before December 2020, they can still apply, but there is something that we're going to discuss. So the point is, the answer is yes, but depending on whether you are joining the EU national or you were in the UK before 31st December 2020. So let's take the two scenarios. The EU national was here, and then now he would want to bring his children from, let's say, Nigeria. Yes, he can bring his children. Why? Because his children have always been his children. So the relationship between the EU national and his children existed before the Withdrawal Act took effect in February 2020. So what will happen is that if you can show that you are an EU national, you were here before December 31st, 2020, then you can apply under the EU settlement scheme to have your leave confirmed. You are legal. If you have family members and you can demonstrate that the relationship existed before 31st December 2020, they can also apply to come to join you or apply to remain with you here. The only issue at the moment that we are dealing with is the fact that Home Office did a study and found out that some people were in the UK and the deadline to apply under the scheme was 30th June 2021, but they did not apply. They allowed them to apply, but in 2023, they realized that why is it that an EU national family member is in the UK and did not apply under the scheme? So they're going to have to do something about it. So what they decided was that from 9th of August, if you had not applied to the scheme, you will no longer be able to apply unless you have reasonable reasons for not applying before 9th of August. And that is where the problem is. So the answer is yes, you can apply, but it should be that you had good reason why you did not apply either before 30th June 2021 or before 9th of August 2023. If you're able to produce good reasons why you are applying late, then you can. But this is not applicable to people applying from outside the UK if the relationship existed before 31st December 2020. So if somebody was married to an EU national before the relevant date, then they can still apply to come. If a child is born in the UK within 3 months, you can still apply. If you have 5 years residence card, you can still apply because you are renewing. If you came here and you have a valid leave to remain, but you are switching to depend on maybe your parent or something, you can still apply. So people can still apply under EU law if they can demonstrate that they have good reasons why they are applying late or the relationship existed before they came to the UK or they applied. I hope this will encourage people to apply under EU law.
Thank you, Lawyer Rich. I understand.